Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inside StreetEasy's Agentic email workflow. I am Andy King, and I'm joined by my friend Jake Leffler here. We are going to be talking about the problem with today's email production process, why it's too slow, and then we're going to look at some of the tools and the processes that you can use with our product, Email Figma plugin, AI, and Figma to kind of streamline the email production process. Jake is going to show you a live build, which is very exciting. And then there will be time at the end for questions. So please, I see some of you on the live stream, so please do post any questions that you have in the chat, and we'll try to address those as we go through it. I'm Andy King. If you don't know me, I run emaillove.com. We are an email inspiration website. We have almost 500,000 emails on our site today, and we add over 1,000 new designs every single day. We also have loads of analytics and reporting that you can dig into as well. I've been in the email space for a long time. I've worked at Campaign Monitor, Lyris, lots of tech companies, and now I run this website. We also have a Figma plugin, which we will be showing you today as well. Jake, do you want to introduce yourself, do a little intro?
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Hi, my name's Jake Leffler. I work for StreetEasy, which is a New York-based real estate marketplace. So you can search streeteasy.com to find rentals, buy and sell, that kind of stuff. I started at StreetEasy as an email development specialist, and I've slowly been working in more marketing automation setup. So I'm excited to show you guys this workflow that we've started to implement, as well as kind of talk through where I see it going in the future, short future for us, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get into all of that stuff at the end as well. Okay, so let's dig into the current email production process. I personally think it is too slow. It involves designing the email in a platform like Figma, maybe Photoshop if you're old school, and then rebuilding that email in an email builder or even in HTML directly, and then uploading it to your email platform, testing it again, and then finally sending it once you're happy with it. Is this the process that you used to have, Jake? Does that sound familiar to you?
Yeah. I mean, I come from a time where definitely used used Photoshop to create pixel by pixel emails, and that's kind of what drew me to Email Love in particular. Like, I've been a big fan of MJML for a long time now, just not needing to do hand coded HTML or kind of remember all those email fallbacks. So yeah, definitely a process that I'm familiar with.
Yeah. And you moved from Photoshop to Figma at some point, right? So
Oh,
at
yeah.
StreetEasy,
For the
you were.
last, like, yeah, we currently use Figma. You know, I feel like I've been at Figma at companies before. I've been with StreetEasy for about 5 years now, and I feel like the last 6 or 7 years, maybe it's all been Figma. It's just a
Mhm.
lot easier to work with. I think some companies still use like Cloud Adobe, but yeah, I haven't really got, yeah.
Yeah, I think just the collaboration aspect of Figma kind of took things over from Photoshop. But yeah, I
100%.
definitely spent a long time trying to figure out Photoshop. I personally never really understood how to how to use it correctly. It's too complicated. And actually, it's called Photoshop. It's for
Yeah,
photos. It's not the.
yeah, it's for photos.
So here's just like that workflow. Kind of you have the design. You review the design in Figma. So typically your designers will mock it up, or you might even mock it up in Figma. You would review it, you collaborate in Figma, add comments, maybe adjust the photography or the titles, the copy. You'd get it looking just right. You'd sign it off in Figma, and then you'd go down to this rebuild stage and you'd try to recreate it in a drag and drop tool or directly in code. You'd compare that to the Figma file. Usually it looks a little bit different. People are like, hey, this looks different to the actual Figma design. You'd try to get it looking as close as possible. You'd re-review it, and then you'd send it eventually. So that's kind of the process that we see with a lot of our customers before they come on board with us. So it's a lot of rebuilding, and in my opinion, wasted time that could be saved doing other things. Okay, so that's kind of the problem that we are addressing with this new agentic workflow. And so StreetEasy, they've been using our Figma plugin for about 12 months now. Actually, we're coming up for renewal. We need to talk about that, Jake, at some point.
This will be a discount for doing the webinar.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after. So StreetEasy's been with us for 12 months, and they've been using the Figma plugin, and now they're using it with Claude, which is super interesting, and that's what we're going to dig into. So if you want to follow along and do something similar, you will need three things. You'll need Claude and the Figma MCP connected to it. You'll need to download our Claude skills, and you'll need it's kind of optional. You don't have to have the email of Figma plugin, but if you want to export from Figma to the ESP, you would need our Figma plugin as well. And we have recently released these 4 skills, which Jake is going to show you how he has taken these and customized them and created his own crazy processes. But the 4 skills are essentially enabling you to build emails via Claude. You can audit existing templates. You can create a email design system directly from Claude. And actually, it's getting scary good at creating design systems. And then I've also recently added ESP skills. So if you want to teach Claude how to use Iterable handlebars or Liquid for Braze or Hubble for HubSpot, we have skills that teach Claude how to do those things as well. And skills, I'd say this is like the game changer.
I was just about to say, like, I was we talked offline about this, but like feeding the agent and the skill the ability to understand handlebars at like a base level was game changer for us. But then you can then go in and customize it and take it to a whole new level by injecting your own like rules, logic, anything that you're using for your ESP specifically. We're inside of Iterable, so a lot of what I talk about today is going to be Iterable. But like one of the things that we do in our emails, and we'll again go into a deeper dive here, is we show our listing cards, which is like our bread and butter. That's how people are going to get back onto our site. So I took Andy's setup here for just understanding handlebars, and then elevated it to everything that's unique to our like listing card layouts and all the rules that we have in place to look up those catalogs. So.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I've learned from Jake is you can customize any of these skills. So don't just take what we give you.
Layer.
Yeah. This is the base, and then you customize it for your own processes, which super interesting. So this is the new workflow. So you can go from a campaign brief. You can either generate that directly in Claude, or you could feed it to Claude. Claude would then use these new skills to create the email or the design system in Figma using the Figma MCP. You would then obviously review it and collaborate still in Figma. I think Figma's not going away, in my opinion. That's still one of the best places for teams to kind of review and collaborate on campaigns. You then use our Figma plugin to export the code directly to the email platform. You'd still do some QA in the email platform. You want to obviously check that your handlebars works. You want to send a test, make sure everything renders correctly across email clients. But all of that, doesn't require you to rebuild the campaign at any point.
Yeah, I think a really big distinction here I want to point out is like the path from Claude or whatever GPT you're kind of using into Figma is still like a main key piece here, because if you were to, of course you could just have it prompt you and build you the code right there, then you're copying and pasting. But the fact that it's going into Figma using the Email Love plugin, you're really able to stay within that review cycle process, and you don't have to constantly have a singular chat kind of loaded up to repeat and upload all that HTML over and over again to get reviews from any stakeholders.
Exactly. Yeah, and if you do have a change, you could go back to Figma, make the update, and then it updates the template directly in Iterable, which is great. Okay, so this is kind of looking at where StreetEasy started. So it all begins by having a solid email design system, which is we created this for StreetEasy about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's basically a set of components. I don't remember how many components you have, Jake. You have a lot. You
We
have,
had about 80, I think, is what we netted
yeah,
out to. Yep.
yeah. So you have about 80 components in Figma, and these are like the building blocks that
Mm-hmm.
the StreetEasy team uses to create their emails. And they were doing this anyway directly in Figma with our Figma plugin. And so this builds in all the responsive layouts and design, the dark mode settings, um, the fonts, the colors. This is all embedded directly in the design system. And I would say it's worth putting time up front to build a solid design system if you want to like implement this process. The key is having a good design system.
Yeah. Yeah, we're no longer worrying about dark mode. All of my focus now is the workflow portion of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it took a little bit of time to like iron out some of those things, I think. But once you've got everything looking correct, this is I almost think of the design system as almost like the API or like the source of truth for your
Mm-hmm.
email designs.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, and then now that you have the design system, you can now prompt Claude using the skills to actually create new layouts, new templates, new components in Figma.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with the Figma MCP, you can actually like the whole reason this works is that you're able to give Claude or your GPT your design system, so your Figma file, and then it knows where all of those components are at the frame level in Figma, so it can reference those frames. Then you can provide it context. And to be honest, even doing like a simple here's my design system or using that initial builder skill that Andy's provided, it doesn't understand, but it has certain context for what components are, and it's able to infer which ones would fit in an email as you improve that skill. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and you could probably create sub design systems or narrow it down to give it
Yeah,
like a narrower set of components to work from for certain types of emails, I imagine.
yeah, that's actually one of the phases that we're moving towards with this skill. Ideally, is like we have the people who are buying, the people who are renting, and agents all inside of the email ecosystem. And right now, it does a really good job splitting those out. And actually, when I showcase the live example later, you'll kind of see how I customized our skill to prompt the user to know like what path to go down.
Mm-hmm. And we should specify is you don't have to use Claude. You could use
No, 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 no.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's why I tried to say like any GPT.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Cursor, ChatGPT, anything with an MCP or anything that has access to the Figma MCP will work with this. Google Gemini is one that I can't. They don't seem to support MCP very well. I think they do via some complex methods, but anything that has access to the Figma MCP should work. Okay, so step 3, the agent can then use only the approved components. So like I said at the beginning, you've already done all the work up front to create the design system. You've optimized the colors, the fonts, the dark mode. And so the AI, the Claude ChatGPT is only using those components. And so that's great. It's not going to like do something weird in dark mode, change your font, guess at how a component should render. So it gives the AI the like pre-approved components and structures to build the email.
Yeah. To just build off of that really quick, because if you're not familiar, when you're building skills, and this is the same with every GPT kind of layout, it's almost like you're building software as a service, but not as complex or intimidating because you're able to provide it like additional context and file structure. So like not only did we already have our EDS that has all of these colors, but we provided it with the actual design like guidelines that our creative team developed. So that way, it even if there was an inference or a user trying to infer outside of the scope, it has all these guardrails and rules set up to just not deviate from the path at all.
Mm-hmm. And Ali actually had a question. She's asking, what's the benefit of doing it this way versus just using AI to build the emails? So she says she's been using Claude to build code blocks based on Figma directly. And so I think this is one of the main benefits of doing it this way, because there's no Claude and the AI isn't touching the code at all. And then Figma provides a place for you to collaborate on the campaigns. Whereas in theory, you could create code blocks, store them in GitHub, and then get Claude to build emails for sure. I think that could work. I think the larger teams, it becomes a question of where are you collaborating on those designs? What if you want to add a new component? What if you want to change something? Like that's where Figma kind of
It
becomes
it's
powerful.
it, and ours too, and this could be even for smaller teams. Our my main goal here is like enabling the team overall. So like while we're Zillow, we're StreetEasy, right? There's there's a larger company there. Um, I'm actually on a smaller marketing operations team that's very robust. We have like a very like set of skills between the couple of us that do all the marketing automation and all of these campaigns and setup, but there's a larger team there that has influence and are stakeholders in our campaigns, and they want to be more in the weeds on these projects, helping out. Also, that enables us to go to market quicker. So really, this started for me as a way to enable more people that were not necessarily in. I'm still not giving more people access to Iterable, right? But more people can now build emails, start their projects with assets already created before they even come to us to kick off a project. So you're not starting from ground zero every single time, and more people are
Hmm.
able to build actual email that could be deployed, that just maybe need some fine tuning and still have that
Yeah, and
collaboration process.
I guess the source of truth for the HTML is actually the components in Figma rather than some code repository somewhere.
Yeah, that
Um,
can get lost too because you don't have the right access to Git or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, Ali, to answer your question, you could fully like build your own system with code blocks in GitHub as well. But this is, I think, for larger teams, this is probably the safer, more accessible route. And then the AI actually never touches or writes the HTML. I know there's like some debate, like people are saying AI can fully write an email HTML code, and maybe it can, or it can do parts of it, or it can like edit HTML. Like I've heard of people feeding Claude an existing email template and getting it to update it. I think you can do that stuff with AI these days. I think the question is, do you want AI to be touching your email code? Like, what if it changes something? What if it gets something wrong? Um, the way that we're doing it is the email of Figma plugin generates the code from the Figma components. And so the code's going to be solid. It's based on an email framework called MJML. And so it always compiles as responsive email code. And there's no like margin for error there with AI messing with the code. Anything
I
to
think
add to
that
that,
that
Jake?
I think I was about to say I think that that perfectly outlines it. Yeah, I still find even with these higher end models, like we don't have access to Fable, but in my own free time using Fable, it can still hallucinate. It's still got some weird, and even then, like I've seen it do commenting where it tries to wrap the comments in handlebars because it doesn't understand the context that, oh, we're not writing handlebars, we're writing handlebars within an email, and there's all that nuance.
Hmm.
um, so you have to give it that context and it can eventually get better, but out of the gate having these kind of guardrails and having AI not touch the HTML, and it's literally just pulling components from your EDS and Figma and assembling it for you, is a much faster process.
Yeah, and reduces the margin for error there.
Yeah.
And then production. So going from Figma via the Figma plugin directly to Iterable, HubSpot, Klaviyo, whatever your platform of choice. And then obviously all of the handlebars, the liquid, whatever templating language you happen to be using for that email platform, that also can be done directly in Figma, and then exported as one complete template, or snippet as well. And then this is kind of Jake's, or Jake taught me, is it's not just about taking the skills that we've built, it's about customizing them for your own unique workflows. Because if you look at each company, they all kind of do things a little bit differently in my experience. And so
Yeah,
Jake's done a lot of work here.
yeah, this is where I feel like it really gets into the weeds of you're going to tailor it for your company's needs. You're going to tailor it for your needs individually. You could be just the person at the company that's the only one building emails, and you want to use this to improve your own production. So maybe you have a little bit more of a work-life balance, or you're at the larger companies and you need to enable more people to be able to do the thing that you already do. Without fear of like any sort of job displacement. I still feel like I'm like really in the weeds here. So I took Andy's kind of base skills and improved upon it, feeding it, like I said at the top, my exact logic for how we do catalog lookups to pull our listing cards into our emails. So that live data, that's not going to exist inside of Andy's shell. That's something that's going to be unique to us only. And then also like how I wanted to start this workflow, and then eventually how I wanted to keep improving it. So like my jumping off point isn't the email is built. My jumping off point is, it actually went into our project management tools and updated tickets with Figma links and updated, users tagging people, or even prompting the user, hey, this email is built. Here's your Jira message. Not something I'm going to be able to show today just because I can't bring up Jira, but that's really what I wanted this to become. I'm starting with the asset that gets built, but really I want the user to be able to come in and be like, hey, I'm starting a new campaign. And then it pulls in all the assets that campaign needs. It asks them how many emails they want to build, and it really kicks off the whole project. That's my pie in the sky end goal for this. And it really starts with a email builder skill.
That's so cool. In theory, you could integrate it with some kind of like image library, like other asset libraries, right? So
100%. Yeah.
they could pick and choose, like, oh, I want this image, put it into this template.
Yeah, I have it pulling like placeholder images right now. But yeah, you could. I mean, the sky's the limit really here. It's really able to be tailored for whatever your workflow and what you're trying to solve for. For me, again, it just really started with like wanting to build emails. We were like, okay, let's go with email love because now everybody's inside of Figma. And for those users who still kind of struggle with Figma, and who want to even just kind of like prompt and go do something else, this solves for that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it enables them to build emails in Figma where they might not be very familiar with Figma. Figma's obviously a very powerful tool, and so this kind of reduces the barrier to entry there. I also love how you wrote here, it interviews the requester as well. That's super smart.
yeah, I didn't want it to be where, how sometimes AI tools will just do walls of questions. I was like, we can't do that. It needs to
No,
feel like the
you want
user's
one at a time.
engaged. Exactly.
Yeah.
You either want one at a time or like the user still feels engaged, like you're making the decisions and then AI is just solving for the prompt that you completed for it. Yeah.
And then it connects to the rest of you kind of covered this, but connects to the rest of your tech stack. So you've got it connected to Jira and Monday.com. You've got handlebars from Iterable. Uh, you've got
I
the whole process down.
Yeah, I've even had it like part of one of our steps that I'll show later is that one of the steps is to output a like iterable frame next to the email inside of Figma that goes through certain labels and things that we have inside of Iterable that are going to be unique to us that
Mm.
we need to make sure we're maintaining from a campaign perspective, that it doesn't really make sense for email love to take care of. I mean, maybe it could. Maybe I'll talk to you later, Andy. You guys are really good at rolling out updates very quickly,
Yeah.
and taking user feedback. But yeah, my goal today is to just hopefully showcase how custom it can truly be for your end workflow.
Great. Well, I know people would probably like get to the demo already.
Yeah.
I want to see it. So let's have you share your screen and we can see what this process actually looks like.
Great. Yeah. Um, so again, we're going to be walking it through in Claude, but this could apply to any GPT in kind of your work environment, whatever you're working with. And I'm just going to kick it off. Build
And you can see
easy
Jake's
email.
using Opus 4.8 by the looks of it on low. So
Yeah.
does it matter what model you use, Jake, while
Yeah.
we wait for it to build this thing?
Yeah. When we were doing some testing, because I keep adding to the skill, there definitely can be bloat. You don't want to make your skill too big to do absolutely everything. It can do that. You're just going to run into time constraints. So you can run it. Andy and I even did a test. I think Haiku or Sonnet.
We tried Sonnet on low. I think it's still. I would recommend Opus probably.
Yeah.
Like,
it takes longer, but the output, in my opinion, is just it has more context. It has less for you to do later. So yeah, you can run it low. I'm doing low right now for hopefully a live tech demo to not do the the nasty thing that tech demos do where they don't work exactly as you expect. But so far we're good. So I kicked off our workflow making sure there is either a new Figma link or a Figma link that already exists for the user to, like, if you have a project usually kicked off at our company, you probably already have a Figma link. But for our purposes today, I'm going to say that we don't have one. And then I immediately go into what kind of persona we want to tackle here. I'm just going to choose our renter persona here. And I want some listing cards in this email. So then it's going to go through another step in our process, and it's going to clarify some guides that I've provided it. So we'll watch it build here. And then my next step is to kind of go into what the overall purpose is here. For today, I'm just going to do a re-engagement nudge. I'm going to do our recommendation model, and then I wanted to show two cards. So what I did there is we have different ways of calling our catalog. So that's what I talked about earlier. These are our listings, and then how many listings I want to show in an email. What's great about the skill is, again, I started with like the base handlebars that Andy provided in the ESP like file in his GitHub repo, and then I was able to build out what we specifically use in our handlebars in our catalog calls for Iterable. And depending on how long this takes, we're still great on time, so I don't think we're going to run into any issues here, and it's moving. When I did this test earlier today, just to make sure before I got on live call, I think I was running at like 4 or 5 minutes. Really kind of depends on the complexity that you're wanting to build out here. And then I do have one built that we could run through as well, Andy, if we need to.
mm-hmm. So right now it's building the Figma file. I can see it has the Figma icon. So it's actually, you said it's got to create the Figma file, and then it's choosing the components from the library.
Yep. And I didn't give it. You could build yours in to give much more stricter upfront rules for what components it pulls in. Right now, earlier when I chose the renter persona, it doesn't have access to the same components that the agent persona would have had. So that's something that you could add to your workflow. You could also leave it completely open, allow it to scan through 80 plus however many components you have to see what kind of email output you get. This is also a great tool to just kind of play around and muse through, build me an entire email campaign, a welcome series, for instance, with 4 emails. That's something we've built with, I played around with our the skill right here doing multiple emails, and it can output each one as a different frame.
Yes. Yeah, I actually had to create over 30 lifecycle emails for email love in Figma. I think the one thing I would
30?
say is, yeah, like not in one shot. It'll be
Oh,
like
okay.
it'll be like it, but like much faster than I could have done
That
manually.
that's something I was thinking about too, Andy. I was like, because you always want to make things faster. That's just the way it goes. But I was sitting down and I was like, oh, even with the Email Love plugin, I still took like 30, 40 minutes dragging all my components, finding the right ones. Actually, we have lorem ipsum in most of our components, but actually copying and pasting the copy, something I'm not showing here, just because I'm not going to show an actual brief. I should have made like maybe a test one, but it could take all that copy. You can then prompt it to make those edits, and it still ends up netting out being faster than going into the file, doing all the copy paste yourself. Still saving hours here, in my opinion. So
Yeah, and I found you still need to make edits in Figma. Like it's not going to create the perfect email for you in one go. You still need to go in and like maybe edit the copy, change the images, maybe move things around, or maybe it uses a component that you don't like. So it's not like it does everything for you, but it is a huge time saver.
yeah, and I will show we're also going to show either this email or the email that I built literally before this call, as well as exporting it into Iterable, so you guys can see like what the overall output was. And I mean, I fed that email additional context. I was like, hey, pull, you can give additional resources in a much quicker fashion here. Like I gave it access to the StreetEasy website. I also asked it to pull from our blog content, so getting that additional context in there was much quicker for kind of these blind builds. And I'm timing it now too, because I'm going to keep improving on my skill after this call to make it even faster. I think we're about 3 minutes in now.
Yeah, do you spend a lot of time just waiting for Claude to do stuff
No,
for
this
you?
the only reason I'm waiting right now is because we're on a demo right now. What I would be doing is other work, usually, and that's kind of the other important part here is like I could set it, forget it, and then have it notify me when it's
Yeah,
done with the
exactly. You
final
can go
email.
off, do something
Yeah.
else, and then
I work from
come back
home. I
when
could
it's
pop up, see the kids, come back down. I got an email built, and then I'm ready to route it for stakeholders. Yeah, like that's really what I'm trying to get at here. Is like I could be doing other things right now, but on the call, I'm just waiting.
Okay, so where are we at here?
It's varying on one of my restrictions on certain components for renters. So looks like it's almost done here. We're at about 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's not it's hard to comprehend like what's going on. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. And I think once Jake's going to show Figma in a minute, and you'll actually see what it actually produced.
I could while we're waiting for this to finish, I can talk through this email build that I did right before the call if you want me to, and then
Yeah,
we can pop back over.
sure.
So this is going to show a very similar output. So it went through, we did the persona here. I wanted to do the rec model, went through here. I have it output my Figma link that it created. It specifies the iterable details. That was the thing that I said where I want to keep track of different campaign nodes. And then I also have it give an outline of like kind of what it built, what the proposed subject line, pre-header, all those kind of things. So it's going through like actually trying to build the full campaign. I have a custom dependency if you choose to add catalogs into our email. Even though Email Love the plugin allows you to bake in CSS as like a standard component across the board whenever you start a new email. We don't always have listing cards in our emails, and so I make sure it provides a CSS dependency. So I can then go in and show you what email it built right here. So this is using our design system. I wanted it to be, rentals re-engage. Here's what it decided on. It's like a step-by-step guide on how to get back into renting with StreetEasy. And then at the bottom here, you'll see our handlebars that we populated for the rec model. I can go ahead and show you, if you're not familiar with the Email Love plugin, maybe Andy wants to speak more of what's going on right here. But right now, I'm just on the export tab inside of the plugin here. And we're inside of Iterable, and I'll just refresh really quick. So this is our instance in Iterable. I've got a fully built email that's ready to proof down here at the bottom. I'm pulling in user data here at the top. I'm not going to get into too much of the weeds of how our company does everything here. But as you can see dynamically, here's our listing cards being populated and the email kind of ready to go. Fully mobile ready. Got everything stacking the way that you would expect it. My listing cards go my full width. That's just something that we do. Again, this is fully custom to kind of like our business at this stage.
That's so cool. One question I had on the Figma file, does it create that card at the top to the right of the design where it has like campaign details? Does
so
Claude create that?
This is something that's part of the custom flow that I implemented. So that iterable details is right here to go to that frame. So yeah, I'm having Claude do that. That's part of what I did inside of our skill to output
That's really nice.
something.
Just for collaborating with people, they can see like, here's the subject, here's the preview text, here's when the campaign's due to be sent, like whatever other details
I'm
you might want to share.
still working on that card to like put the Jira tickets and things like that. So, because I don't want to speak for everybody on the call. Something that we run into constantly. You have a lot of tools, but now that we have AI as kind of like the connector for all these tools, I don't really mind if, people want to use Monday or people use Jira or different tools because they work better in those tools. But now I can grab those URLs, put them all in the same place where the people are collaborating so that everybody always has sight of the project at all times is really the goal.
So cool. So where is Claude at now? Looks like it's still working on it, which is
the best part about doing a live demo, because right when I did the demo with you in person, we were at like 3 or 4 minutes, and now it's taking a little bit longer for the structure of this email in particular, whereas this email earlier took about 5 minutes. And then, if I wanted to prompt this email, I have changes. I could go through that process here on it prompting me of what changes it wants me to make. So, if I want to turn off footer unsubscribe if it's transactional in nature, so I want to, let's say, change the headline at the top to be more concise, something like that.
Do you have any advice for customizing these skills? Like, did you use AI to help you customize the skills that we gave you?
Yeah, I did a little bit of both. So when you're building your skills, and that's just a subfolder inside of Claude, as well as any GPT really. I started by uploading all the files you had as like a base, and then I copy and pasted some of my catalog calls, and then I provided to AI, or Claude in this example, context. I was like, hey, if a user only has one listing card and they only have one listing ID, how we service those, you need to use this specific lookup. And then I copied all that and had it update the skill. So you're not writing the whole .md file by hand. You can go in and do that for very specific things that apply to your business, but by no means do you not have to use AI to update that skill. And just want to quickly show, like, it updated that text block at the top there from that email that we built earlier with a more concise headline. So those are the kind of things that you can do with the editing. Jesus Christ, of course, on the tech demo, it's taking forever to build an email. But it did update that one very quickly. Once it's built, we could have more changes if we wanted to go down that rabbit hole.
Okay. Well, I don't know if we need to wait for it to finish on this particular design. I think people probably get the workflow and the idea. And obviously, some things will take longer than other things. I mentioned at the start, there is a skill for building an email design system that can take between 30 minutes to an hour to actually create, depending on how many components you want. And I would advise you to use the highest AI model that you have access to do that, because it's a heavy lift. It's a lot of detail. It can do a lot of things, like it can apply all of your Figma properties and variants and all of that stuff. So depending on what you want to do, you might want to customize the actual AI model that you are actually using. Okay, so I think we'll leave it here for now for the demo. Jake will probably have an email ready probably right after we stop sharing his screen, I imagine.
It'll be the minute after.
Yeah.
That's how these things go.
But yeah, thank you for sharing that workflow, Jake. If you want to stop sharing, I think we're coming to the end of the time, but there's one other topic that I just want to cover very quickly. Okay, so that is basically the workflow. So to get started, to do this, get your AI tool, make sure it has MCP access, install the skills, which are basically just .md documents. You can also ask your AI how to install skills. For ChatGPT, we actually have an official ChatGPT plugin, which is easy to install. You also need to connect Figma to the Figma MCP. You then need to give it your existing emails. So you could actually just give it HTML emails. You could give it a Figma file that contains your existing designs. Or if you're really clever, you could use the MLove MCP to pull in the emails from our website. So you could say, use MLove to pull in all of Zillow's emails or whoever, and it will actually pull in the screenshots, and it can use those to actually build the design system as well. And then obviously build everything in Figma and export it with our Figma plugin. So that's kind of the full workflow. 3 things I'll leave with you. The design system is really the foundation, so spend some time building that out. The AI agent never touches your code, and the plugin is kind of the key at the end of this process. And I'll share a link to the ultimate email design system that's free on the Figma community. I'll share a link to all of our skills and a link to the Figma plugin if you want to try this out. Just to end off, is this the end of email design? Is this going to replace you, Jake? You said that you can go off and do some laundry now. That Claude is building your email for you right now, or how is this like changing your job specifically? Do you think?
Yeah, I definitely touched on it a little bit. After all of this setup, what's been happening is I'm not touching like raw HTML or even raw MJML code as much anymore. That was already happening because I was using the plugin more and more. Now I'm doing a lot more workflow implementation. I'm also able to spend more time thinking through maybe what I want to call the cooler parts of the email. Like I really like improving on the listing cards in our email because that has to be custom coded. That has to be a custom solution for our needs. Not saying we didn't start with like a plugin component, but really we had to branch it off and go crazy with all the, if-then statements, handlebar logic, kind of hiding and showing different content based on the user, and really diving more into personalization. So no, I don't think my job is dead. I think my job is just transforming into something a little bit more custom as far as just tackling personalization.
And there's a lot of room to continue to iterate and evolve and improve these processes as well. So I don't think it's like you build the process and it's done. I feel like it's you got to continually like add stuff or improve it in some way.
Yeah, that's why I kind of said at the top, like it's almost like your skill is a SaaS program. Like you've now built a service that you're providing to your company, and you can't just let it get stale. So if you do, it might run as efficiently as possible, but if your design changes, it'll have that context, but maybe rules or governance inside of your company changes, and you've got to make sure that you're updating those docs or making sure that the context is there, because AI cannot reason against that, and it'll just keep building the same thing over and over again unless you give it that context. And truly, just like you thought would happen, Andy, it is done now. So
yes, I was actually going to ask you. I bet it's finished.
I was like, it'll finish right when we're done with the call.
Okay, so here's the
great email
design that it created while we were chatting.
Yeah, and that's really what we should have done, is just chat it off to the side to let it run and come back to it at the very end of the call, because that's how it was going to run on a tech demo. It knew.
Yeah, no, usually it's faster than that, but obviously on a live demo, it's going to take longer.
If I wouldn't have had the listing cards, that has been like kind of a little bit heavier, because it has a lot of rules that I make it jump through. So
yeah, well, yeah, there's a lot to that. Okay, great. Jake, thank you so much. If people have questions, or they like, we want to talk to Jake about AI and skills, how can they get in touch with you? Or what's the best channel?
Yeah, you can search me on LinkedIn. I provided Andy with my socials, so we can post that somewhere. I also have, an account long ago on Upwork. But if you want to reach me directly, LinkedIn's the best place right now to reach out to me.
Excellent. And you can always find me at emaillove.com. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Really appreciate everyone who joined live, and thanks to everyone who watches this on YouTube. I appreciate all of your time. Thanks you, Jake.
So much.
Okay, bye.
Bye.